Thank you all very much. It is wonderful to see everyone, to be part of this virtual meeting and discuss an incredible opportunity to showcase compassion in our collective communities, Camino de la Paz y Compasión. This is in partnership with the International Charter for Compassion, along with cities and towns between Monterrey, Mexico, and right here in San Antonio, Texas. And so welcome everyone to our convening. Now, if we can go ahead and get into why we are convened today, the concept of Camino de la Paz y Compasión is basic and foundational to our regional and our global futures. If we can pull up the map now so we can see the region that we were talking about. There it is. So you can see this is a fairly large region on two sides of the southern US and Mexico border between Texas and Mexico. Both ends of this map, Monterrey to the south and San Antonio to the north, are already designated as compassionate cities, which is a designation that joins nearly 650 cities globally and is growing. Our collective commitment through education is with the direction of the International Charter for Compassion. Communities and municipalities develop through this protocol a common language, and we share compassion skills and share goals of values that are holistically healing and foundationally grow healthy communities. The Camino broadens and deepens this healing and growth potential by expanding local efforts into regional efforts. There are other regions like in Africa and in Canada who are just beginning to share similar regional efforts toward a more compassionate world. And so what we are doing now is taking our collective learning and our work to bring compassion into our local communities, to join communities now in this effort regionally. And so I'd like to begin our conversational time together and in respect for your valuable time by engaging in a roundtable discussion and introductions, at the same time sharing some questions and concerns that we have about the Camino endeavor so we can make it a success. Everyone here will have about 2 to 3 minutes, and I'll invite the mayors to join in alphabetical order. But before I do that, I want to introduce everyone to someone who you probably have heard a lot about, but maybe have not had an opportunity to meet yet, and that is the director, the executive director of the International Charter for Compassion, and a person whose visionary leadership has brought us together as communities of the world, Marilyn Turkovich. Thank you, Marilyn, for your leadership and your time with us today and so many other times before this as this concept has come into life. Marilyn will be jumping in during our roundtable to provide details, answer some questions, etc. I'd also now like to introduce Cristina Gonzalez Parras, Director of Encuentro Mundial de Valores and a member of the board of the International Charter for Compassion, along with Javier Navarro, who is the government secretary of the state of Nuevo León. I appreciate also attending this meeting, Martha Herrera, Secretary of Inclusion and Diversity of the government of Nuevo León, and Secretary of State, Interfaith Council, Misael Pedraza, and all the other mayors who are attending with us today. So now let's get into our discussion. And to start in alphabetical order, we first will welcome the mayor of Alice, Texas, Cynthia Carrasco. Cynthia, I believe you're on with us. Thank you for having us. Thank you for being with us today. It's an honor to have you. I want to start with you with questions and or concerns about the Camino endeavor. What do you think Alice, Texas's interest will be?
Well, hi, and thank you so much for inviting me. And I want to apologize because I was a little late coming in, but I wanted to hear more about this. I was not familiar with this at all. This is my first time hearing about it and receiving some of the information that was sent to me. So I kind of wanted to join in and kind of hear what all y'all been doing. I know we're along the pathway of the region, and we're like a hub city. So I want to hear what everyone has to say, and then maybe kind of learn and grow from there, and maybe hopefully be a benefit or provide some kind of benefit. But I really appreciate y'all inviting me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mayor Carrasco. And don't worry, it is unfortunately the mayor's prerogative to show up right on time, and you're right on time. And I know you probably have some questions about some of what local communities are doing in these compassionate efforts. I don't want to hog all the time here, but Marilyn, I don't know if you want to give us a glimpse, maybe globally, of some of the things that cities associated with the Charter of Compassion are doing, just to give Mayor Carrasco a taste of what's occurring in different cities.
Thank you.
And you're on mute, Marilyn.
Thank you for telling me that. I said, it's really exciting to see so many mayors here. Basically, a compassionate city is a community that's caring, and it cares about everything that's going on within the community. And it's an opportunity for citizens to join and work collectively with local government. And so, for example, if it happens to be a compassionate community in Karachi, Pakistan, a lot of our efforts is involved in education, helping young people choose education over some of the violence of extremism that's happening in that country. There's also programs to help women with starting new businesses. If I'm looking at a community in St. Augustine, Florida, I'm looking at a community that is working hard to keep its elderly within their own homes and getting support for that to happen. And I know that the folks here from San Antonio will tell you some of the things that they've been doing. So it's everything that a community wants to concentrate on. So in Pomona, California, it's an opportunity for local government to work hand in hand with young families. And so there are so many programs, 650 different cities globally around the world, probably over 1,200 different initiatives and programs that are being developed locally. And we're here to help you whenever we can. So we'll keep going with the introductions, Ron. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marilyn. And I'll just share, Mayor, from my perspective, part of this effort is to acknowledge the fact that there is great division and polarization happening in communities all across the globe first. And then second is to also recognize that compassion, treating people the way that we would want to be treated, is an antidote to that. And so there are different programs and initiatives that are happening in different cities that are all unique. I'm happy to share with you some of the things that San Antonio is doing. We have our faith liaison, who is essentially the director of Compassionate San Antonio's work as a city government. We have developed curriculum to help people understand that compassion is a skill set, and that it can be demonstrated and enhanced through leadership of different organizations, whether that be the city, through businesses, educational institutions, et cetera. And so by doing that over a course of many years, we've developed people who are leaders of compassion, modeling compassion throughout our community. And that, I believe, has a profound impact on the way we handle different challenges and crises. San Antonio, for instance, saw a marked decrease in the presence of hate crimes during a time when most other cities around the country were experiencing increases. I think a lot of that has to do with a compassionate approach to solving problems. And so if we can do that in a single city, we perhaps can do that as a region, and eventually we can do that as a world. So it starts locally, and then we can impact globally. So I know we're going to hear a lot more from other cities. And like I said, I don't want just to have a San Antonio perspective. So let me now turn to one of our cities along the Camino and welcome the mayor of Del Rio, Texas, Mayor Alvaro Al Arriola. It's an honor to have you here, Mayor. I know your son very well, and I hope he's doing well now that he's on to other things outside of San Antonio. So now to you, Mayor, what questions do you have? What concerns do you might have about the Camino Endeavor? And what do you think Del Rio's interest will be? Are we missing Mayor Arriola? I guess I don't see him on. Maybe he dropped. Well, we'll wait. And in the meantime, let me turn it over now to my good friend and the mayor of Laredo, Mayor and Dr. Victor Trevino. It's an honor to have you. It's good to see you, Mayor Trevino. It looks like you're on the move. Thank you for making time for this. Same question to you. What questions do you have? Any concerns about the Camino Endeavor? And again, lots of folks here would love to jump in and offer perspective.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. We are here at the border, and our questions are to see how we can change the perspective we have about people and humanity. Basically, when laws are created, immigration and border security is of the utmost importance, and we absolutely believe in that. But I think what we probably need to find out is how we can get laws and rules and immigration things underway that we can mix them with humanity and compassion, because we've seen the number one example with this great immigration crisis where people sometimes die, they drown, they get sequestered, they get tortured by cartels, and we get the end result here. So these are things that are I think of utmost important, and they're globally important. We need to put our perspective into how we need to handle this, and these are the questions I would have to leaders that have dealt with this, and how to mix laws and humanity, how to put them together and make a common sense rules, common sense things that we need to find out how we can treat the people better, how we can just treat our community better, and how we can entice the people or encourage them to treat his fellow man like with humanity. Those are the questions I would have on how to deal with that, or how to convince the people, how to make them understand that we have gone through a lot of things, a lot of suffering, a lot of evolution to get to the point where we are. And as leaders, I think we need some guidance into how to entice the people, how to convince them to change their way of being. Because if we continue like this, it will lead to more chaos and nothing productive. Those are my questions.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And we know that you're right there, literally at the border, seeing the the challenges, but also the effects of some of the corrosive rhetoric that you're rightly suggesting that we need to change. Marilyn, any reactions to that?
Those are huge questions, and I think that that's the essence or core of the existence of the Chart of Compassion. How do we regard common humanity? How do we get word out and begin the process of education? And I truly believe that education is, it's not the total answer to everything, because I think, they say that you have to work in all fronts when you deal with such crisis as we have, not only between the United States and Mexico, but this is an international problem that exists in Europe as well as Africa and the Middle East. And so we do have, and Ron, Mayor Nienberg can really talk to this about our efforts, especially in San Antonio over the last few years, is to try and bring about dialogue of understanding about common humanity, about how it is that we understand our own behavior and other people's behaviors. And so thank you for Mayor Trevino, your look at the crisis. And it is something that I think collectively we can begin to explore. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. And I'd add, Mayor Trevino, I want to also recognize Migdalia Garcia, who's here from San Antonio. We have, in partnership with the International Charter for Compassion and the U.S. Conference of Mayors, launched Compassionate USA. So you can go to compassionateusa.org and see an online curriculum that's free of charge that helps cities and leaders look into some of the methods that we're using to change that rhetoric. And I'll just share with you, when I came into office, we passed a resolution joining the International Charter for Compassion. And I know that there's a question there in the chat about how you do that. We can go a little bit further into doing that, but it again recognizes that compassion should be at the foundation of public policy in San Antonio. So while we may not be able to control the federal government's approach or policies related to immigration legally, and we will either benefit or suffer the consequences of good policy, we do control and we have an obligation of the way we treat people, anybody in our city. And so as it relates to migrants, just like any other resident, migrants are treated with common humanity and dignity in our city, and that's a compassionate approach. So, you know, again, just an opportunity if you want to check out compassionateusa.org. Migdalia just put the link there, but things like that are byproducts of the local involvement with the International Charter for Compassion that we're trying to unite together on this Camino. All right, now please also join me in welcoming the Government Secretary of State of the state of Nuevo León, Mexico, Javier Navarro. Thank you very much, Javier, for joining us. It's an honor to have you with us today. I want to turn it over to you now with questions and thoughts and concerns about the Camino endeavor and what you think that Nuevo León's interest will be.
It's a pleasure to be here with you, Ron, and on behalf of the government, the governor Samuel Garcia, I want to say hello to everyone. And we are happy to share with you this project because I don't know any city, any country around the world that don't need the compassion and the peace. We are happy to work together with you, and the government is open to collaborate with this Camino de la Paz y la Compasión.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Secretary Navarro. Marilyn, any reactions other than from me gratitude at this point?
Well, yes, very much gratitude because we're excited about this idea. It came about a couple months ago as we were working with groups from Texas as well as from Monterrey in a program that we have that's called Peace by 2030. We could spend a whole time talking about that particular program, but we bring citizens together from different areas. And as we had so many people from San Antonio and so many people from Monterrey, we thought, wouldn't it be incredible if we could really think about this as being a regional kind of effort? And so we've been trying to put together resources and we're so excited. And thank you, Javier Navarro, for your offer of really being involved in this.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Marilyn and Javier, for that exchange and having your office in support. Javier is a huge boost for this entire effort. So thank you very much for that. Now it's a great pleasure to welcome the mayor of our sister city, Monterrey, Mexico, which is actually one of the first sister cities in the United States. And so great to see you, Mayor de la Garza. I'll turn it over to you now. I look forward to visiting with you soon. Monterrey has been a great encouragement to San Antonio's Compassionate City effort. I believe we became associated with the International Charter for Compassion at nearly the same time. And so it's wonderful to unite efforts and join our region together with the two bookends of these sister cities. So Mayor de la Garza, over to you with any thoughts, perspective, concerns, or questions.
Mayor Nuremberg, hi. My name is Fernando Marga. I'm of Chief of Staff of the city of Monterey. Very happy to be here with you. On behalf of Mayor de la Garza, I want to congratulate you for this effort, and it seems like you have it all together. And I think that nowadays, in particular in this region, we need leaders who share this common value. More now than ever, in particular in Monterrey, we have the immigration issue, which, as you mentioned, in the US and it's also in Mexico, it's a federal issue, but we are attending this issue seriously. And perhaps it's one of the issues that we will become more and more as hopefully this wouldn't be the case, but we anticipate being a very important issue in the next coming months. And we have to work together with these values to achieve, to promote values such as compassion and peace. It's not only a duty, it's a moral obligation. So at the end of the day, I think this is a very important effort that helps us all to work on this issue together. And I think that it's very important that we share our best practices. And perhaps on behalf of Mayor La Garza, I think I would like to stress this point very seriously to say that it is our commitment and we are deeply we are very, very seriously attending this issue, and we know it's going to become more and more something that we need to attend. So I want to congratulate you all and let you know that we are open to working together. Okay.
Thank you very much. And that's what I get for having such a small screen where I can barely see everybody. You could have passed without Mayor de la Garza knowing, but thank you very much for being here to represent.
He wants to come and join us and say hi, but at the same time he's involved in an important meeting. So
no. Thank you very much for.
Here we are
Thank you very
sharing
much.
our commitment.
Yes, and no, it means a lot that you would have the office represented and he represented in this manner. It does show again that the commitment to compassion in Monterrey is very strong and continues under Mayor de la Garza's leadership. So Maryland, again, as I said earlier, San Antonio has drawn a lot of inspiration from all of our international partners, but in particular Monterrey. Any thoughts and perspectives from this partnership? Again, from represented the Chief of Staff of Mayor de la Garza.
Yes, over the last probably 10 years or so, the Charter for Compassion has been really intimately involved with Monterrey, especially through the incredible efforts of Cristina Gonzalez and Encuentro de Valores. And so we're so thrilled. I can't tell you to see so many mayors here. And there's a question about, how do you become a compassionate city? We'll send you a follow-up on, like a few ideas, but the whole idea is you have so much compassion, obviously, in all of your cities, and a desire to really bring about and increase compassion even more. And that also means through education, through healthcare, through social services. And Monterrey has really been a beacon of light. And I remember a couple years ago, Mayor Nienberg and myself were involved in a panel, and it happened, I think, to have been in Houston, Texas, and it was the Sister Cities Conference. And I remember thinking, wouldn't it be outstanding if mayors were able to rule the world? Because they are so close to the issues at hand. And that's why I think it's so incredibly important that you're all here and how exciting it is to see you all here.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. I know, much of the conversation about how compassion is needed to solve problems in our local communities, especially in this region, has to do with immigration concerns and the refugee crisis all across the world. But I do agree, if mayors were in charge of immigration policy, we would have already solved this issue. So let's continue to lead with compassion. I know there are a number of mayors who might be listening in, but not yet part of the roundtable. We tried to go by alphabetical order for the folks that we knew were going to be here. But if you are a mayor and are listening in, if you could please just say hello, identify yourself. We would love to have you known and heard from, and we want to reach out to you to make you part of this effort.
You know, Ron, I'm just wondering if it wouldn't be possible for Christina to kind of take the lead, especially with all of the mayors who are from Mexico and
That would be great. Yeah. Christina, over to you.
Con mucho gusto, I'm going to go ahead with the Spanish. So, gracias a todos por estar aquí y a todas. Me entusiasma verlos y sobre todo verlos porque Encuentro Mundial de Valores tiene 10 años trabajando con Charter for Compassion y certificando ciudades compasivas. Aquí en Nuevo León tenemos 20 ciudades ya certificadas como compasivas, pero lo bonito también es que tenemos instituciones como la Secretaría de Educación, la Secretaría de Igualdad e Inclusión, incluso el estado de Nuevo León es un estado compasivo. Y después de haber tenido aquí la Cumbre Mundial de Premios Nobel y ver cómo el tema de la paz y de la compasión se entrelazan, nos da mucho gusto que haya salido la idea de este camino de la paz, que haya otros caminos que ya se están llevando a cabo en otras partes del mundo, pero que aquí en Nuevo León estemos muchas instituciones, diferentes sectores ya trabajando en esto. Ahora el paso que sigue es las ciudades que no se han certificado como compasivas que se suman para poder enlazar los sectores y ahora sí tener proyectos comunes de transformación social, que no nada más sean hacia un solo sector, sino a diferentes sectores. Y esta es la invitación que queremos hacer el día de hoy. Tenemos un proceso, una manera, un plan piloto para hacerlo. Y como ya hemos venido trabajando con diferentes sectores, este es el momento para enlazarlos y poder hacer proyectos conjuntos. Y el Camino de la Paz, pues, es un plan piloto que se puede luego replicar en otras partes del mundo. Y pues desde el entusiasmo de San Antonio hasta el entusiasmo de todos los alcaldes y de diferentes sectores, creo que podemos hacer un proyecto que nos distinga, que se pueda hacer replicable y que participe en el Consejo Interreligioso, que participe las escuelas, que participen los rotarios, ya están incluidos también todos estos sectores, la Secretaría de Igualdad e Inclusión, y que juntos podamos pues transformar un poquito lo que tanto hace falta, más paz y más interacción entre unos y otros. Sí, esta es la invitación. Muy pronto los podemos accesar aquí en México para poderles platicar un poquito de qué se trata este proceso y cómo poder de alguna manera sensibilizar primero a sus colaboradores, luego cómo trabajar en equipo y finalmente trabajar con un proyecto de paz para el 2030 que ya tiene una metodología para unificar sectores. Esta es la invitación y nos da muchísimo gusto que se pueda llevar a cabo, que estamos con todo el entusiasmo del mundo, las ciudades compasivas y las instituciones que ya son compasivas, de participar. Así que gracias y los estaremos contactando pronto.
Thank you very much, Christina. And some of the questions that we have already gotten in this roundtable have, basics about how to get started with the Compassionate City. And I mentioned that San Antonio's effort in the Compassionate Charter, International Charter for Compassion, really began with a council resolution and signing the first document, which literally took place of my first day in office as mayor. I would encourage you to look at the Charter for Compassion website, but also I mentioned compassionateusa.org. Mayor Trevino, you're right there, right in the middle of this Camino. I'd encourage you to look at that website for a mayor's guide that we just published. that has some specific tactical things that you can do to go ahead and get started in this movement. And then Marilyn or Christina, is there a page set up that's devoted to the Caminos that are happening in other parts of the world that perhaps we could all take a look at and be inspired by?
I wish I could say that there is a page. There isn't one page. A lot of this is in production right now. Let me give you a few examples. I'll be traveling to the Netherlands in the next couple of weeks. We have within the country of the Netherlands 23 compassionate communities, and this will be an idea that we'll put forward to these 23 cities to see how they can be working more closely together. Starting in a few months, we'll be trying to build a similar highway of compassion and peace between Cape Town, South Africa, and Harare, Zimbabwe. We've already had a discussion of, and the discussion is really enthusiastic about the fact that the very first state, like Nuevo León is the first state in Mexico to become a compassionate state. The first state in the United States is California. So we're having a discussion now to bring together the 21 cities in California to extend a highway of peace and compassion from north to south. And so there's an awful lot going on enthusiastically. The Canadians for Compassion, which was one of the very first groups that came about after the founding of the Charter for Compassion, is in discussion now of having a highway of compassion that follows the Trans-Canadian Highway that goes from Halifax, Nova Scotia to Vancouver, Canada, with a side trip up to Edmonton, Manitoba, Canada. So there's a lot happening. We don't have that built into our website right now. We're on a separate platform, and we're going to invite all of you to that platform. It's called Sutra, and there's a lot of information about the Camino itself between San Antonio and Monterrey. It was a long answer to a very short question. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Marilyn. Well, I want to give the floor back to you, Marilyn, so you can talk a little bit about some of the partnerships, the key partnerships, as well as some of the resources that we have obtained through fundraising and grants and things like that. So let me give it back to you to kind of go a little bit more in depth into this initiative, where the idea came from, and then we can close out.
Yeah, I think that, it's fair to say that the idea came about because people were frustrated. People were anxious. They wanted to do something across the globe. And the founder of the Charter for Compassion is an individual by the name of Karen Armstrong. And she wrote a book called 12 Steps to Compassionate Life. And one of the things that occurred very soon after the publication of that book was there was a gathering of people in Louisville, Kentucky. And in that gathering, a question was asked of her: what is a compassionate city, or what is a compassionate community? Her response was that a compassionate community is one that is suffering. It realizes that not every child goes to bed feeling full, that many are hungry, that education is not equal in all of our cities, that not everyone gets the kind of health care that they need. And so a compassionate community is one that opens its eyes and realizes what's going on, but more importantly, they take responsibility along with local government, citizens and local government, to really look deeply into addressing these issues. And so what happened was the very first compassionate community was in Seattle, Washington. And I'm close to Seattle geographically, and we have a tremendous homelessness program in Seattle. So that was the first effort that was done by Compassionate Seattle. And it, 10 years later, is still struggling, but working hard to try and address the needs of the homeless community. And when we look around the world, at the kinds of compassionate communities we have, it all happens locally because people are concerned. In Botswana, it rose, a compassionate community, a compassionate country actually arose because of the fact that so many children were dying of infant milk formula. And so there was a need within the community to address how is it that that can be stopped? How can it be addressed? And so, as we look at each of your cities, what we need is to begin to work at the grassroots level, but also to work at the level of governance. And so as we begin to communicate with you, and some people from Mexico, for example, Christina, Merida, Christy are there, they will be contacting you, and Ceci, and we will begin the dialogue with you, like, who is it that we should be talking to in your local community? Who are the educators, the superintendent of education, the leaders that might be really very involved in creating a compassionate community? We have resources that we'd love to share with you. And also we want to bring in your partners into the process of making your city a compassionate community. You know what's working. You know that the people in Rotary, for example, a few of the cities here are involved with sister cities. Who is it that we can talk to within those organizations so that they will join in on the effort? We have a wonderful gathering tool in Encuentro Mundial de Valores in Monterrey each year. It's a great place to come for all of us because we have an opportunity to talk with one another and to learn from one another. And that's what the Charter for Compassion is all about. It's a network. It's a network of people who are there to reach out and to extend their areas of expertise to you, and hopefully for you to do the same as you meet up with new people and new concerns. So when it comes to the Camino, we know that there are smaller cities, we know that there are towns and villages along the way, and you've been invited to be a part of this, but we want to be like a spider web. We want to move beyond the cities that are here so that we have regional dialogues where people can really share their ideas and learn from one another. Because look at the collective wisdom that we have here today. We've asked you for an hour of your time, which we know is so extremely valuable. But the thing is that, when we come together and we learn from one another, we can really blow that learning up and extend it and give it to other people. So the Charter for Compassion does two things. It brings people together like we have right now, but we continue hopefully that work with you. But by doing that, we work with people in your own community. And so we'll have people, as I explained, that are part of the team in Mexico. There'll be people who are part of the team that's in Texas. And hopefully we'll look to Monterrey in October to come together so that we can share with one another. But we hopefully will have gatherings like this as well. They might be regional gatherings. They might be a kind of bi-regional gathering that we have here today. And so we also, besides doing compassionate communities, we also have education. And so we continue whenever possible to make everything that we do free. And as Mayor Neuenberg suggested, that we do try and reach out to different organizations so that we're able to bring you these kinds of programs. And a lot of those programs deal with the psychology and the neuroscience of compassion, because we're all part of the compassion system, that we're, as they say, we're hardwired for compassion. And compassion is really bringing about tremendous acts of kindness within a community. And so we try and build these programs so that people understand what compassion is all about. We try and build leadership programs. We try and bring together teachers from the world so that they can learn from one another. So that's the inspiration, I think, of the Charter for Compassion. But there is no Charter for Compassion without individuals like you and teams of people, thousands of people around the world who are working hard within their local communities to make a difference. And that difference could be in social justice. It could be around issues of immigration. I'm immediately thinking of a program that's in existence in Canada where a small community has come together to really help provide housing for refugees who come into that part of Canada. The same thing in the Netherlands when I'm there is to visit one of those sites where the people in the upper part of the Netherlands in Friesland are doing the same kind of thing. There are so many incredible good works and stories out there, but we'd never hear them. And that's one of the things that we want to bring into the forefront of our effort here with the Camino, because Christina indicated that it's starting to happen in other places of the world, but the original Camino is right here. It's the one from San Antonio to Monterrey. And we want this to be more than a pilot. We want it to be that kind of example that other countries can look to. And it'll be an opportunity at the same time to share in an international dialogue of building peace highways around the world. So I think I'll just kind of end there, and we will be back in touch with each of you. And we will be asking if you could introduce us to people in your community who you think would be really instrumental in helping to build your local Camino. And it might be people that are part of a church community, an interfaith community, an education, a healthcare group, social services, NGOs that you know about that are working hard. It could be the Rotary in the case of Laredo, Monterrey, and San Antonio. It could be the Rotary clubs, plural. I know that because we started by looking up all of your communities, and I think Rotary exists in almost every single one of them, and they're primed to help in doing this effort. So thank you all again for coming, and I'll turn it back.
Great. Thank you very much, Marilyn, for that great summary and overview, and hopefully some inspiration to all of the mayors who are on this call. I'll also share with you, I know you're all busy. I can understand that. I am as well. So it's great to have partners. It's great to have people that are focused on this, because compassion influences absolutely everything that we do, or at least we aspire that it should influence everything that we do. And so we in San Antonio, as I mentioned, have someone dedicated to the task for the city government. Our faith liaison, Reverend Ann Helmke, is on the line. We also have the team over at Compassion San Antonio that is working on the Compassionate USA project. Magdalia is here. So think about your organizational structure as well as you go through this, and what could set you up for success. Is there someone already on your staff, or someone who needs to be on your staff that can really be the point person for all of this good work? And again, a compassionate approach works for international issues like immigration and migration, but it's also certainly a local effort. I think San Antonio, our community, embraces the Compassion San Antonio movement because they see it as a need for our neighbors, our residents locally. As an example, we know San Antonio has a challenge, as most cities do, with poverty, and having the dignity of good housing and safe housing, or the dignity of work and a good paycheck. And so understanding our community's barriers and challenges that prevent them from having those things is the first step to fulfilling our duties as policymakers. And that is certainly a compassionate approach in my mind. So lots of opportunities to get involved. Before I say adios to everybody, is there anybody else who would like to put in a good word? Any mayors who would like to just make some remarks? If not, I'll turn it back to Merida, and she can give us a sign off.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Hello,
Merida,
can you
back-
hear me? Yeah.
I can.
Can you hear me?
If you can identify yourself, Luis.
Yes. Sorry. First, I have to ask. Can you hear me,
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, my name is Luis Usarrey. I'm General Secretary or General Ministry. In Spanish is Secretario General of Municipio de San Pedro Garza Garcia. It's like a city manager in U.S. Counties. The mayor of San Pedro, Mauricio Fernandez, send you a big hug. Thank you, Ron. Greetings for all the people of San Antonio, to all the American citizens, to all the people, the Mexican people who are right now working there, or maybe only having fun in the river walk or in Six Flags, I don't know. But hugs to all the people in San Antonio. All our recognition for the great contribution that your city has made to education and to the world economy. San Pedro Garza Garcia, it's a very small municipality in population. We are only 130,000 people living here. To give us an idea, the mayor, Hector Garcia, hi Hector, nice to see you, has 800,000 people in Guadalupe. Our income, we are a very little country in population, little county in population, but we are a very important municipality in Nuevo León. Our income per person is the highest in Mexico, and our population has the highest average number of years of schooling years in the country. All represents a huge commitment for us. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to participate in this event. For a city with high quality life standards like ours, it's vitally important to maintain collaborative ties with other municipalities. 8 years ago, we were designated as a compassionate city, which fills us with pride. We are sure that the experience of the municipalities of Texas and the northeast of Mexico that are here with us will be useful to exchange good practices. For now, I would just like to reiterate our commitment with peace, compassion, solidarity, empathy, and the importance of working locally to face the challenge that the modern world demands. Thank you again, Mayor. Thank you, mayors, for the invitation, and we are at your service. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Luis, and great parting words. If there are no further, we appreciate that call to action. And with that, let me turn it back over to Merida. Whoever's going to sign us off, Merida or Marilyn.
Here are not only the charters URL, but ways to contact us, but we will also be getting in touch with you directly. Christina's website and her contact information at Encuentro. And then also we've referred a number of times to Compassionate USA. This is a wonderful program that's coming out of San Antonio in collaboration with Alamo College. And also you'll be getting, I believe, as Anne indicated in the chat, the mayor's guide. So it'll give you even more information. We look forward to a few more meetings during 2025. But as I said, please mark in your calendar how important this wonderful international conference is in Monterrey. It's been going for many years, heading towards its second decade, and it's a human values conference, a conference that looks at compassion in a very deep way. And it's really a tremendous opportunity for over a couple days of us, possibly getting together and taking a deep dive in compassion and learning from one another in the process. So thank you all for your presence here today.